My son asked to be on this podcast a while ago, and I kept saying soon, soon, partly because I wasn't sure what angle to take, partly because he's 12 and I didn't know if he'd actually deliver. And then I thought about it. This kid has been to Hawaii 14 times. He flew solo to Kauai when he was 10 years old. He spent our entire February trip hunting down the best acai bowl on each island. He has made instant friends with pool strangers on every single trip and never once asked any of their names. He owns more Hawaiian shirts than most adults will ever own in their lifetime. So yeah, he's ready. Today, Owen joins me on this podcast, and honestly, I think you're going to love him. Welcome back to Hawaii Travel Made Easy. I'm your host, Marcie, and I have a very special guest today. My son, Owen, is here. He's been asking to be on the podcast for a while, and today I'm finally making it happen. Owen, welcome.
I don't get paid enough for this.
Okay. I want to start by establishing your credentials because I think people need to understand who they're actually dealing with here. How many times have you been to Hawaii?
I went when I was solo flying. I went with my mom a month ago to Maui and Oahu. And in total, I think that I've been around 14 times.
14 times. He's 12 years old. For context, most people I talk to have been to Hawaii once or twice and are planning their second or third trip. You've completely lapped them. What islands have you been to?
I've been to Oahu, Maui, Kauai, and the Big Island.
And which one have you been to the most?
I've probably been to Kauai 6 times.
Yes, and there's a reason for that. My mom, his grandma, lives on Kauai. So Owen has experienced Kauai both as a tourist and as a kid going to visit family, which means he's seen parts of that island that most visitors never see. You've been there more in a local way, at least a little bit.
It feels warm and calming not having to do everything at once.
Because you get to do it at a slower pace?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to go straight to the acai bowls because you talked about this for weeks after our February trip. Tell people what your mission was.
My mission was to find the best acai bowl. We searched and searched and searched all over the islands that we went to. And we just kept eating them.
Well, and then did we find a winner? Do you have a definitive answer of what's the best acai bowl that you tried?
Well, it was probably Tropical Tribe in Waikiki because it was just really good acai bowls.
Nice. That is genuinely useful information. Acai bowls are everywhere in Hawaii, and they're not all created equal. And I'll say, if you're traveling with a kid who has food opinions, leaning into that is actually a great trip planning strategy. Give them a food mission. It becomes the whole trip. Tropical Tribe was one of his favorite spots. What else did you eat on the February trip that you would tell another kid to go to?
Shave ice in Hawaii is really good almost wherever you go. And just acai bowls because they're really tasty.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk activities. You've done a lot of trips. You've done a lot across a lot of trips. What is the one thing that you would do on every single Hawaii trip if you could?
I would go to the beach because the sand is really soft. And it's just a nice place to be.
Now, I want to ask you something that might get me in trouble. Has there ever been something that I made you do on a trip that you absolutely did not want to do and it ended up being great?
The photo shoot that we did because I got to climb rocks and just go around the beach, and it was really fun.
Yes, I was immediately thinking of that photo shoot as well. That is a super honest reaction. We always do flightographer photo shoots when we travel, and I wanted to update my photos for my blog and for Instagram, and so I roped him into doing a 60-minute photo shoot, and I knew he was not super interested, so I told him he only needed to do some of the photos, but it actually flew by. We did an hour photo shoot, and it was a lot of fun. At the end, we both couldn't believe how quickly that time went by.
Yeah.
Okay, the island rankings. You can actually compare these with some authority, so I wanted you to rank them. Oahu, Maui, Kauai, and Big Island.
I think number 1 is probably the Big Island because it has a lot of stuff to do, and it's just a fun place to be.
Is there anything specific on the Big Island that you like to do?
Go ziplining.
Oh, yeah, that was really fun. We did the
Yeah.
Kohala zip line,
Yeah,
and that was
fun.
pretty cool. And we had to wear
Yeah.
those gloves and
Yeah.
everything. It was legit.
Yeah, and then number 2 is Kauai because I get to visit grandma, and it's a nice place to be. Number 3 is Maui because it's a good place to relax and, like, just chill. And number 4 is probably Oahu because it's fun, but I feel like there wasn't as much stuff to do.
Oh, interesting, because I feel the opposite. I feel like Oahu has so many things to do. All right, what about Kauai versus Maui? So you've been to both a bunch of times. From a kid's perspective, what's the actual difference between those islands?
Well, Maui is really good for pools and beaches, and Kauai is good for food.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
the food on Kauai is really good, and Maui's, like, the right temperature to, like, just chill by the poolside or go for a swim.
Yeah, I agree with that. I love that answer because I get the Kauai versus Maui question constantly from families, and I have my adult take on it, but the kid's eye view is a completely different conversation. He's focused more on the pools and the food, and I'm usually focused more on the activities and the photo ops. Okay, I want to talk to you about the solo flight because I know a lot of parents listening to this have either thought about it or on the fence about letting their kids fly alone, whether or not it's to Hawaii. You flew to Kauai by yourself when you were 10 years old. Walk me through what that was like.
Well, I went with my parents to the airport, and after that, um, my parents went with me to the gate, and then they left, and I had a bunch of snacks, and after a while, when we started boarding the plane, flight attendants helped me know where I was, and it was just a nice experience.
And then what was it like when you landed on Kauai?
I was helped out by some nice flight attendants, and then I saw grandma, and then I went with her, and we went to where she lives and went into the pool.
And then wasn't there sort of a funny small world story for your flight back home?
Yeah, we we liked eating at this one breakfast spot that was really near where my grandma lives. And on the way back, the owner was one of the flight attendants.
That was such a small world. I saw my son hop off the airplane surrounded by flight attendants, and they're all just laughing and talking like they're best friends. And I thought it was such a funny coincidence after I found out how they knew him. So for parents who are thinking about this unaccompanied minor travel, what would you tell them?
It's not too scary. Once you actually like go there, the thought itself is scary, but when you actually like try it, it's not bad at all.
That's awesome. That's really good insight. And I know most people listening are probably not sending their kid solo to Hawaii because that's usually a more of a family trip kind of destination or with friends or something. But we just did that because you have family there.
Yeah.
But for anybody listening who is thinking about it for any other kind of travel to visit family, maybe it's really good to know. And what would you tell the kid who's nervous about it? Like if a 10-year-old came to you and said, I have to fly alone, I'm scared. What do you say?
Don't be. There's plenty of nice people to help you. Like even the people next to me were helping me and asking me if I needed anything. And they gave me extra cookies and stuff, which was nice.
Nice. And I want to let people know that I gave Owen a phone to borrow during that trip so that he could always communicate with us. And that made me as a parent feel a little bit more secure that we could always be in contact just in case. I think what you're describing is one of those experiences where you come out of the other side a little different, like it built something. And that's kind of what Hawaii does in general, right? There's stuff to do there that just sticks with you. Okay, so I've got a few questions for the families who are planning trips and listening right now. Honest answers only. What do parents pack or plan that kids actually do not care about at all?
Parents pack photo spots into trips, like going to waterfalls, going and climbing up mountains and just going to these random places for like 1 to 5 photos. And it's always like a really long car ride, and it's not that fun. And yeah.
Okay, fair. And on the flip side, what do you wish parents knew to plan that they usually miss or forget?
Sometimes parents forget to pack in, like, if you're at a hotel with a pool, like chilling by the pool or just chill time in general. Because sometimes you're like, oh, I need to get this done. I don't have that much time here. And then you get really stressed out. But then you end up not having any time for yourself and just like sit to chill there.
Yeah, I think that that is a good point, and it's something I bring up in consultations a lot when I see these really overpacked itineraries. And I think, especially when there's kids involved, gosh, I bet those kids are going to want an afternoon at the pool, at least one. So I'm glad that you brought that up because it is really easy to forget to basically schedule the unscheduled time. Last question, and this is a big one. Your best friend is going to Hawaii for the very first time next week. You have 5 minutes to tell them everything they need to know. What do you say?
There's beautiful scenery and stuff everywhere, but don't get too ahead of yourself because you want to stay in the moment. Because otherwise, you're just going to focus on what's going to happen next. And that's not as fun as if you just stay in there and think about like what you're currently doing.
Yeah, that's a good point. And what about the people that don't really want to do the airplane ride to get to Hawaii?
Well, if you fall asleep, then it goes by really quickly. But Hawaii is worth going on the plane ride for however many hours long because it's a nice place to be. Everybody there is nice, and it's just a great place to be.
Would you like to go back to Hawaii?
Yeah.
Excellent. Owen, thank you so much for being here. You were everything I'd hoped you'd be, and I'm so proud of you.
Nuh-uh.
If this episode got you excited about bringing your family to Hawaii or going yourself, I have everything you need at hawaiitravelwithkids.com under my Hawaii Resources tab. That's where I keep all my trusted tools, favorite booking links, and everything I talk about on this podcast. One stop for it all. And if you're currently staring at a map of the Hawaiian Islands going, but which one? That's exactly what my consultations are for. You and I get on a call and we figure out the right island, the right itinerary, and all the decisions that feel overwhelming when you're doing it alone. You can book at hawaiitravelwithkids.com under Hawaii Travel Consultant. I have 60 and 90-minute options depending on where you are in your planning. Thank you so much for listening to Hawaii Travel Made Easy. If this episode made you smile, share it with someone who's planning a trip or someone who just needs a 12-year-old to remind them that Hawaii is 100% worth it. I'll see you next week. Aloha.